Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Mark Dubowitz is the CEO of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and one of the go-to guys on Iran. Mark, I don't think you could have timed Iran Breakdown, your special podcast series, any better than when it dropped, because if people want to get smart on why Israel is doing this and why I think we ought to help them, they can just go and run through that. But I want to go right to the question of the hour. In the Financial Times at this hour, it's being reported Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates have spoken with Iranian president to express solidarity. Qatar's Emir did the same. So did the Sultan of Oman. So did the leader of Kuwait. What do we make of this?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hugh. So, I think it's very important to understand that what the Saudis and Emiratis and Bahrainis say publicly is not what they say privately. I mean, they are expressing solidarity with the Islamic Republic of Iran because they don't want Iran to retaliate and sending drones and missiles into the glass cities of Dubai and destroy the mega and giga projects of Saudi Arabia. So publicly, they're ensuring that they can be out of harm's way if things escalate. And privately, they are looking for Israel and the United States to permanently dismantle Iran's nuclear weapons program.
Now, if the phone rings and it's Donald Trump and he asks Mark Dubowitz, should I join in this air campaign? What do you say to him?
So I would say that you've got to permanently dismantle Iran's nuclear weapons program, President Trump. You're the only one who could do it. Your predecessors didn't do it. Your successors will not do it. So you have to do it one of two ways. Either you have to unleash V2s and massive ordnance penetrators and destroy the last remaining nuclear weapons facility called Fordow, or you got to convince the Iranians to come to Oman and actually do this peacefully through an agreement that fully and permanently dismantles that program. Or you bomb Fordow, and then you tell the Iranians to get to Oman if they're not willing to concede on this most critical demand.
You know, one of the other people I listen to besides you, Mark, on matters Iran is Kareem Sajupor from the Carnegie Endowment. Yesterday, he talked to Dan Senor. He said there's zero chance Khamenei will give up enrichment. Zero, because he's 86 years old, he might be slipping, and he's invested $500 billion in sunk costs. Do you agree with Kareem's assessment of the genuine Iranian position if the supreme leader remains the supreme leader?
Yeah, I really disagree with Kareem. He was on my podcast just a couple of weeks ago. I think that's right. I mean, I think the only way that Khamenei, you break the nuclear will of this hardened cleric, is that you have to threaten the end of his regime, because he will not give up his nuclear weapons capability that he has invested, as you say, I mean, trillions of dollars and massive pride without risking the regime. If Donald Trump can credibly threaten to destroy Fordow, then Khamenei will understand that the United States is intervening militarily and may not stop with nuclear sites, may go after leadership sites, or may greenlight the Israelis to go after leadership sites. I think the Israelis are itching to kill Khamenei, and they're only not doing it because of Donald Trump saying orange light right now. So yeah, you want to break his nuclear will, you got to threaten his hold on power.
Yeah, Mark, I think he's such a bad dictator. There's an argument for letting him be a bad dictator for a while longer, at least, because every decision he's made has been awful. But let me go to another podcast. Eli Lake hosted David Albbright today, great nuclear weapons expert. And Albbright alarmed me a little bit. He said, look, they don't have the ability to deliver a ballistic missile nuclear weapon, but it's quite possible that they can quickly assemble and deliver by non-conventional means a nuclear weapon either to their neighbors or Israel. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I always agree with David Albbright on the nuclear physics. I mean, I think what he's getting at is that it'll take them a few months to build a crude nuclear device, which is not a nuclear warhead that affixes to a missile, but it's a crude device that you can deliver by plane and other ways of getting into Israel or threatening the United States. The one thing that they're missing, and I think David Albbright underscored that in the podcast, is that the Iranians have lost their key conversion facility that converts 90% weapons-grade uranium into something called uranium metal. You need uranium metal in order to create a crude nuclear device or a nuclear warhead. And they had one, believe it or not, above ground. The Israeli Air Force took it out. And assuming that the Israeli intelligence is correct and there aren't other ones, it's going to take them at least 6 to 12 months to rebuild that conversion facility. So, yeah, I mean, they have a breakout option. The other thing the Israelis did, which has sort of gotten less attention, is they took out 14 of the top nuclear weapons scientists, which would have been akin to having Robert Oppenheimer and his team at the Manhattan Project taken out 3-4 months before the Trinity test in 1945. So they've lost key weapons scientists, key conversion facilities, key enrichment facilities, still dangerous. They still have options. But I think for that reason, President Trump has got to strip them of those capabilities in Oman at the negotiating table, or he's got to take them out in Fordo with B-2 bombers and massive ordnance penetrators.
Now, Israel has also begun to strike the secret police. They've struck the ministries of information and lies, whatever you want to call them. Do you think the regime is fragile, Mark Dubowitz?
Yeah, I think the regime is much weaker, obviously, than it was a week ago. They've not only decapitated the high command and gone after IRGC and military and nuclear weapons scientists, but they're going after key nodes of the regime's internal repression apparatus. These are the goons that take to the streets and beat up Iranians. So to the extent that you go after those nodes, you weaken them, you distract them, you make it more difficult for them to repress Iranians. It opens up space for Iranians to take to the streets and take back their country and take back their flag. And I think the regime fears that. But if you really want to strike fear in the heart of Khamenei, it's got to be a combination of internal uprisings, maximum support for the people, and as I said, the fear that the United States will intervene militarily.
Is there any evidence at all of unrest that you've seen yet within Iran, or are people too afraid and just running for the hills?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are out of Tehran and running for the countryside. It's 7 days, bombs have been dropping. So for now, I think people are in the bunkers. Unfortunately, there aren't bunkers because the regime never built bomb shelters. So these people are looking for safety. But I think what happens then is as they get a sense that this regime has been severely weakened and has been unable to defend itself against this tiny country of 10 million people with a tiny air force and a small intelligence community that reached out 2,000 kilometers with a long arm of Israeli justice, I think that sense of invulnerability that people may have perceived is starting to drop.
So I would encourage everyone, thank you, Mark, for joining me, to go to the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, or go find the podcast, Iran Breakdown. It's a series of now, I think, about 14 episodes, including an interview with the Crown Prince of Iran and his talk about constitutional monarchy. I just found it fascinating. It's a must-listen-to series. It was produced just in time for this. Mark Dubowitz, thank you for joining me. I'll be right back